Welcome to the Paws Perspective,
the podcast where we help dog owners feel calmer, clearer and more confident by understanding what's really going on behind their dog's behaviour.
We're Pat and Molly from Flying Paws Dog Training, and each episode we break down behaviour, training and real life challenges in a way that actually makes sense.
From puppies and adolescents, breed traits and everyday training struggles, we focus on working with your dog's instincts, not against them.
Whether you're trying to prevent problems before they start, or you're feeling stuck and not sure what to do next,
you're in the right place.
So grab a coffee, clip on the lead,
and let's get into today's episode.
Morning Molly, how are we?
Good, how are you?
Good. Had a bit of rain today.
Yes.
So we thought we'd talk about today what happens when training isn't working, because a lot of the time people just say, my dog's stubborn. But it's not usually that, is it?
No, it's not.
It's usually our dog telling us something. So sometimes we need to adjust things or change the picture a little bit. If something's going good at home and then we take it out and about, we need to make some adjustments. So what are we going to take, for instance, that we're going to do at home or practice at home and then take out and about and practice? What sort of a behaviour would you like to use?
Well, we can use a recall.
Okay. So it's going okay at home, and which they often do. And then we take it down to the park. We've got our dog on a long line. We just thought we'd do a bit of practice. And what happens?
They don't do it. Pretty simple.
It is. So why mightn't it be doing it?
Oh, there's a few reasons, I suppose, isn't there? And it does, we should say, depend on the individual dog as to why something may or may not be working. But it's usually one of three things, isn't it?
Yep. What are they?
The environment.
Yep.
The reinforcement.
Yep.
Or the overall picture.
So what about the environment?
Well, I suppose it's that what you said, the classic example, isn't it? They know it at home, but they don't know it out in the real world. And that's just because the environment is too hard.
And as you said, each dog can be different. It can be different for each dog, because one dog might be quite interested in moving birds, and another dog might be not interested in those. They might be more interested in something that's smelly on the ground. So that's where the environment changes for each dog, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Or it might be really excited and it sees someone or another dog, and that might be more exciting. So so we have to think about the environment and each dog. So what might we do to start with out in the environment?
Well, I suppose some of the things we first need to look for are whether our dog is able of taking food, engaging with us, playing with a toy depending on what it likes as a reinforcer, and are they distracted, are they scanning, are they pulling, are they sniffing, what are they actually doing that's not what you're thinking you might want from the dog in that moment.
Yeah, because we also want to try to set them up for success, don't we? So if we go somewhere and there's lots of it could be wallaby poo or lots of birds or something like that, maybe we need a bit more distance, don't we? We need to change the environment a little bit.
We might also need to lower our expectations.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Of what we expect. Things like the pulling and the sniffing, and they might be needs that we need to meet either elsewhere or before we go for a walk, or find a way to incorporate it on the walk so there's a compromise, not just what we want all the time.
Yep. And sometimes if you do something like that, so let them have a bit of a sniffy walk and have a good sniff and smell, and then maybe try practicing a little recall.
Yeah.
Not just get out of the car and try to do it straight away. So, our expectations is a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just reducing the pressure.
Yep. From the dog and us as well.
Yeah.
What about reinforcers?
What about them?
What sort of things are you meaning, and how can we use those?
Yeah.
So what might we do instead? How might we change that?
Well, I think one of the biggest things we should be asking is, would my dog choose this over a distraction?
Mm.
So, like for Zanny, for example, like there's not much he probably wouldn't choose over a moving bird.
Yeah. Yeah, he likes moving birds, but he also likes tugging.
He does like tugging. Have you ever tested it?
Not really, no, because I don't always take a tug tie with me, but I should try it. But he does love tugging. He'd probably take a tug over a piece of food
I reckon he definitely would take a tug over a piece of
in
food.
a high distraction area,
Yeah.
more likely. So yeah, that'd be a good one. I'll have to try that.
But I think then tug is a great reward, but you've also got to weigh up the pros and cons of, is this gonna rev them up too
Yeah,
much?
because it can.
Yeah. Which is a big thing to think about with any reward.
Mm.
You know, sniffing's a great reward, but they still need to be able to connect with you
Yeah.
through the sniffing. You still need to be part of the equation, unless you just are happy with your dog at the end of the lead sniffing. Like,
Yep.
if that's what you want, obviously that's absolutely fine, but for most people, they want some sort of engagement.
Check in.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good calming one though.
Yeah, it is.
On the other end of the scale from a tug toy. Sometimes food can get them pretty aroused as well,
Yeah,
depending on the food
yeah,
and
yeah.
depending on the dog. So that's something to think about as well. Sometimes you might take a variety of food and see how they go with different types. Interesting.
So we need to look at the value to the dog,
Yep.
not just to us.
Mm.
They don't know we've gone and spent $20 on a 80-gram bag of treats.
That's exactly right.
They might still think they're not valuable enough in that situation.
Yep.
We may also need to increase the frequency.
Yes.
So instead of like thinking we've given 1 or 2, it might need to be 10.
Yeah. Yep.
And possibly how they're delivered too.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes throwing them on the ground or making a game out of it is better than just delivering it straight out of your hand.
Yeah, it can be. And sometimes if we go back to when we were talking about getting excited and feeding them out of our hand, they can get a bit snappy. So sometimes if you've got a really high value food that they like, so sometimes that throwing it on the ground can be good.
But I think it's important to question if your dog's getting snappy, is it the food or is it the situation?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because we can blame the food and be missing something.
Yep, we could be, and maybe you need to get a bit more distance.
Yeah, usually if they're snappy, the first thing you probably do is increase the distance and say, well, are they still being snappy? Okay, well, it's probably the food and the situation. But if the snapping stops, it's probably the situation they were in.
Yeah. So there's a few ways you can reward on the ground, isn't there? So you can just do a bit of a scatter. But you sort of like to play some games with Fox, don't you?
Yeah, he sort of needs to be, well, not needs to be hyped up, but he needs to think it's fun, which a lot of them do, but he's probably more so than Murph and more so than Zan, if we're going to do not that we're comparing, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He will just give up quite quickly compared to the other two.
Yeah.
So if it's fun and he can be more engaged with me, he's more likely to continue and it is more reinforcing.
Yep. So you sort of throw your food around a little bit more, don't you?
Yeah, and I think we found moving this into some of our classes that it's a lot more fun for a lot of the dogs.
Yeah.
It's not just boring out of the hand. And it also doesn't give them a chance, like they've got to come back to you and see what the next thing is, or they've got to go through you to actually get the food thrown again. It's not just throwing food around willy-nilly. There is an actual technique to it. But a lot of the dogs we've seen as we've been incorporating this over the last few months, probably even a little bit more, is a lot more of the dogs are a lot more engaged in more distracting environments like a puppy class or like when they move into our outside area.
Yeah, definitely. And it makes it a bit more fun for the people as well.
Yeah.
Instead of just standing there not doing anything. So it can be a bit more exciting for both of them.
Yeah, but I think the thing to take away from the reinforcement is we're building choices that hold up in real world situations.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Um, we also need to have a bit of a think sometimes about the overall picture, don't we? The
Yep, so
overall,
zooming out.
yeah. So what do we mean when we say zooming out?
I think what we're meaning is that training doesn't happen in isolation. I think we can get very stuck in we've trained something.
Yep.
And we see that in sometimes in a week one of puppy class, say, where the dog knows a sit.
Yeah.
But the pup's just walked into a classroom with, you know, half a dozen other puppies, probably at least half a dozen other people, a new environment, lots of
Lots of smells.
smells. All of a sudden, it's not as easy as in the lounge room at home.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're also not just looking at the environment like we were previously. We're looking at how much sleep have they had.
Because if they're tired, you mightn't feel like coming back. You might be more interested in sniffing or,
Yeah.
What else?
Their stress levels.
Mhm.
And I think it's important at this point, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but how their body reacts to stress, we'll call it, and excitement is exactly the same.
Yep. Yep.
So their hormones inside are doing basically the same thing. So good stress and bad stress, if we want to label them,
Yeah.
out their bodies are reacting the same way, basically, so that we're seeing the same response to whether we think, oh, they've had a fun day down at the beach. That might be just as tolling on their body as a vet visit.
That's a bit stressful. So, that's something to think about. Anything else?
I suppose what have they been doing recently, as in, have they just run around outside for an hour? Or have they just been sleeping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes a difference, just like us when we
Mhm.
go out. So what do we need to do then? Mostly ourselves. What do we need to think about with our dogs?
Well, again, we need to lower expectations.
Yeah,
I think
and
that's
that's a big one, isn't it?
yep.
Yeah.
Prioritize recovery, and I don't think this is something that can get talked about enough,
Mhm.
is we expect a lot of our dogs. We expect them to be able to go for a walk every day. We expect them to be able to go for a run on the beach every day. We expect them to come everywhere with us, which are all fine, but if they're not getting that recovery that they need, um, we're potentially not gonna see very good results.
Yeah, you're gonna get tired and worn out, just like we do if we do something over and over. If we work 5 days a week, we often like Saturday and Sunday to recover, don't we? So, our dogs are exactly the same.
Yeah.
What else? Anything else?
Putting their regulation needs first. So do they need, one of the big 3, a chew, a lick, a sniff
Hmm.
to help decompress? Do they need to actually be taken somewhere to go and have a nap?
Yeah.
Is this environment too hard? Do you need to go to your crate? Do you need to go outside? Do you need to go, wherever it is your dog likes to have a nap? But also looking at the environment they're napping in. I put a post up yesterday of Fox the other night. He couldn't settle in the crate.
Yeah.
And because he couldn't settle and go to sleep in the crate, I wasn't going to sleep. So I just opened the door and he settled
Yeah.
outside. And then within a few minutes, he was back in the crate and settled. It was just too hot in there. He just needed to come out, cool down. And I think he went in and out a few times. But like we said in the post, that's not a training issue. And I think it's zooming out and going, okay, is this actually a problem?
Yeah. And where are they sleeping? Like you said, is it noisy? Is it cold? Is it hot? Is there lots of noise? All
Yeah.
those sorts of things. And sometimes, as you mentioned, we might need to encourage them to actually go to sleep, not just expect that our dog's going to be tired and go to sleep. Sometimes,
Especially puppies.
yeah, sometimes they just go, 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 and we need to actually help them switch off. So there's a lot to think about when you're out and about, not just, oh, my dog's stubborn, it won't do it.
I think even at home though, I think obviously like we have talked about out and about at this, but if something's not happening at home, we get into this mode, I think sometimes if we've got to train the dog.
Yeah.
We've got to push and push and push and push until we get the result that we wanted. But it's a bit like anything. If you're continuously pushed, you're going to push back or you're going to just completely disengage.
Yeah.
So it's stepping back and asking like the questions we've gone over. Is the environment too hard?
And sometimes it can be at home.
Yeah. Is the reinforcement strong enough? Is my dog actually in a state to learn? Or is it just too hard today?
Yep.
And I think if we can focus on those three things, if something's not working, I thought you might have jumped in about your favourite topic, latent learning.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you were saying about that. So there's actually a thing, it's called latent learning.
Actually a thing. Make it sound so professional.
Yeah. And if you're training something, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a trick or a recall or a sit, if you do it for a little while and you don't seem to be getting anywhere, just give it a break, stop for a while, and then go back to it. And what you'll find is the dog often picks it up a lot quicker, or it progresses a lot quicker. It sort of plateaus and stops. So, yeah, as Molly said, don't keep pushing through. Take a break. Give yourself a rest, because sometimes if we're trying something, we think we're doing a great job and we get frustrated ourselves, and, your dog's getting frustrated as well, or your pup. So just give it a break and then go back to it later. Do something else.
I think probably on frustration too is they're all going to show frustration differently.
Yeah.
Like I said before, Fox will just disengage, really, if he's, let's say, frustrated or, where like Zan's just going to fling more things at you.
Yes. Yeah, so they're very opposite. So, and then there's everything in between as well.
Yeah.
But Zan gets frustrated and he just tries to do as many things as he knows what to do. Foxy just sort of says, I'll tap out and just have a bit of a nap. And
I mean, Riley used to just scream at you.
Yes, she's more along the Zen line. She used to throw lots of things at you and then throw in a few barks as well. Tell you what
scream at you. Tell you you're not doing a good enough job.
Yeah, typical female border collie. But Tanner was more like Zen.
More like Fox.
More like Fox. Yeah, he just liked easy things, and if it got a bit too overwhelming or a bit too much for him, he'd very quickly just shut down. So you had to take it nice and slow with him. You have to think about your training with each different dog.
This is interesting. Would you prefer a dog like a Tanner or a Fox that's just going to give up quicker if it gets too hard, or would you prefer a Riley or a Zanny that's going to start like really pushing and make it hard for you?
I think probably because I've had two and only one that was a bit slower, I'd probably go for the Riley Zan. I'd probably go for the pushy one rather than the slower one.
Interesting.
What about you? You've done a bit with Zan, so you know what he's like. And you did a little bit with Riley. She was fairly old, but
I'd probably prefer the slower one. Just, I think they make life a bit easier.
Yeah, they do.
General life a bit easier.
Yeah.
Unless you're gonna, do a lot with them, I suppose. But
yeah, they're a challenge because, Riley used to, if you didn't mark at the right spot or you didn't do the right thing, they let you know. I think a lot easier dog, a slower one. But probably if I want to do things with it, I probably want one that, like one that offers behaviours. Probably because I'm just more used to it, I guess.
Yeah.
Interesting though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just what you're used to.
Yeah, well, and then you've got Murph who weighs up all his options and sometimes decides, I've got to go and have a nap. So there you go.
That's the point.
No.
Let me know what it's all about, and I'll choose whether I'm going to do it or not.
Basically, yeah.
I suppose that in that respect, though, you've had 2 slower ones, so you've had to. It makes you think in a different way, doesn't it? Makes
A
you
slower dog.
Yeah, it makes you
Yeah.
think how you're gonna keep them,
Engaged.
yeah, and get what you're asking for in different ways, where I'm probably, trying to slow mine down a little bit. Do a
Yeah, see,
lot
that
of
just doesn't sound fun to me.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to do a lot of the boring stuff because otherwise they're 10 miles
Yeah.
ahead of you. Interesting.
Yeah, well,
Interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, that was our little chat on
yes.
why your training mightn't be working,
Yeah.
whether it's at home or out and about.
And I
Lots of
think
things to think.
just to wrap it up, it being ready for, let's say, the real world,
Yep.
it doesn't come by doing more.
No.
And I think that's what we want people to take away from this. It comes by doing the right things for your dog at the right level that they need at that point in time.
Yep. Yep. Definitely.
I think it's easy to, which we have just sat here and done, compare dogs, but compare dogs in an objective,
Yeah.
a non-objective way, sorry.
Yeah.
Struggling to actually spit things out today. We can sit here and compare our dogs, and it's not taking away from the dog itself.
No, not each dog. No, they've all got their qualities that you love and enjoy. But
Yeah.
it's interesting to compare them like that. But yeah, you don't want to compare it to the last one and say, "Oh, it's not doing that because my last dog did that."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what you want to get away from.
All right. Well, I think that probably wraps up our little episode on what to do when your training's not working.
Hope people have got a few things to think about because there's a few good takeaways in that.
There is.
They're pretty easy. Just think about things, when you're out and about or when you're at home, what's happening.
Yep.
Don't forget, if you've enjoyed this episode, give us a 5-star review.
Yep.
Follow us.
Yep.
So that we can get out there to more people. And we will see you on the next one.